Hi guys, I want to teach you about domain and range, and it's kind of confusing because it uses interval notation, and interval notation can be super confusing. So I think just kind of keep an open mind, and maybe 3 or 4 examples you might get it. Okay, so just know it can be confusing. All right, so remember the domain is the x's. All right, it goes from left to right. The range is the y. It goes from down to up. Okay, so we look down to up, and then for range, focus on left to right. Those are going to be important. Down to up, left to right, domain and range. All right, domain. So we're going to try and look for the very left, which is the smallest value. All right, and that smallest value, as I over here, I'm like left, right? I have an arrow. And an arrow always means either infinity or negative infinity. In this case, this guy keeps going this way, and the x's themselves over here keep getting negative and negative. I know this arrow keeps going up, and so the y's get bigger, but the x's themselves, these guys, keep going more negative. All right, so the domain negative infinity because there's an arrow. And so anytime you have infinity, there's a parentheses, whether it's negative or positive, infinity. Right now, we're going to go to the right and look for the we're going to go to the very right and look for the largest value. All right, so when I go to the right, I'm over here, I'm going to the right. This guy, we have an arrow, and that means he keeps going this way. He goes up, so like the y values get bigger, but these x values right here keep getting smaller and smaller, and the x values keep also getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is 1, 2, so that's 4, and then it will go to 5, and then 6, and 7, and 8, and blah, 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 blah. Right? So there's an arrow, so it's infinity. And anytime you have infinity, you have parentheses, whether it's negative infinity or positive infinity. And negative infinity looks like a sideways 8 with a negative sign, and positive infinity is just a sideways 8, no negative sign. All right, range. You go for the very bottom because you want the smallest value. We could have let's see if this works. Maybe not. Okay. All right, so I'm going on the bottom, I'm here, and this is the smallest value. Okay, the domain, let me fix this real quick. The domain, remember is the x values. So you only look at x values. The range, where'd you go, is the y values. So you only look at y values. All right, so here we are. And this y value right here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that's 9. And it's actually negative 9. And it straight up sits on it. So we have a bracket. Okay, just remember parentheses is not equal to, bracket is equal to. Parentheses not equal, bracket equal, or can equal. Can't equal, or not equal. Move. There There we go. And then equal or can't equal. All right. So now let's go look. As we go up, we have these two arrows. And these two arrows go forever up. And they go forever up. So when you have arrows, anytime you have an arrow, it can be infinity or negative infinity. And this time it goes in the positive direction. So it's positive infinity. So our domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. Our range is -9 to infinity. Okay, confusing. I know, but let's do another problem. All right, domain and range. All right, so as I go left, I have an arrow. So smallest one, so it's in negative infinity. As I go right, I stop right here. And that x value right there, that point is 0, 0. Okay, and that x value is 0. Okay, and it stops exactly, so we need a bracket. Then, as I'm reading from the down, I have an arrow. So, negative infinity. As I read up, come up here, it stops again, and the y value is 0. I'm like clicking all over my computer board. All right, so it just happens that the domain and range is the exact same thing. It goes from negative infinity to 0. Let's do another one. All right, here we have domain and range. Domain. The left is right here, and that x value, -1, -2. So that's like -2. Let me write these things. -2. This is, I think, 38. Yeah, I think this is the main. It's a terrible graph, by the way. Sorry. -1, -2. All right. And then this guy right here, this point right here, will be 0, 0. This point right here will be 4, 3. All right, now let's do it. All right, so the smallest x value is this -2. So -2, and he totally stops. And now we need to figure out the largest x value. And as we go to the right, the largest x value is +4. And he stops. Now we need to go down to up. And so our smallest y value is right here, 0. And he stops. And our largest y value, it's not 2, 3. 3 is larger. So it is 3. Excuse me. All right, let's do this guy. All right, as we coming in from the left, and we see an arrow. So anytime an arrow, it's going to be negative infinity. And then we're going to the right, and we see another arrow. So anytime we see an arrow, it's going to be positive or negative infinity. And now we're at the largest number, so it's positive infinity. So now let's do the range. We're going down, so we're looking for the smallest number. We have an arrow. So since we're doing the smallest number, it will be negative infinity. Negative infinity and positive infinity always have parentheses. And we're going up now. And the graph doesn't stop. We have an arrow. So now it's positive infinity. So the domain and range are the same on this guy, negative infinity, positive infinity. So it means like all real numbers. right, let's do this one. Domain left. Oops, wrong color. All right, we have an arrow. So negative infinity. And then we keep coming. And then we have another arrow. So it's positive infinity. Infinities always have parentheses. All right, now down, we have two arrows. And so those keep getting more negative. So we'll have a negative infinity. And as we go up, whoa, as we go up, it stops right there. So that value is 0, 1, 2, 3. That y value is 3. And he straight up stops. So the domain is negative infinity to positive infinity, and the range is negative infinity to 3. All right, here we go. This, you can't see, but I'll show you. He goes up further. All right, so here we are. There's an arrow, so it's going to be negative infinity. And then we're going to keep going, and he has an arrow. So it's going to be positive infinity. Then range, we're going to be coming back here. We have an arrow, so it'll be negative infinity. And then as we keep going up, we hit an arrow, so it'll be positive infinity. So anytime you have an arrow, it's negative infinity or positive infinity. It just depends. Let's do another one. All right, this one's kind of tricky, so we're going to be really careful. All right, domain. We're coming this way, and we stop right here. Okay, and that x value, because the domain is only x's, that x value is 0. And we stop. Okay, now we're keep going this way. And here we are. The x value right there is a 5, but it's got an open circle. An open circle is parentheses because it can't equal. All right, let's do range. So as we're going down, we're coming up. So this is the smallest one, and that y value is negative 1, and it's equal to, and as we keep going, we have this y value at 5, but it's an open circle, so it can't equal it, so we're going to do parentheses. So that was kind of tricky. Oh, okay, there you go, guys. All right, so that's domain and range. It's really about practicing and like understanding interval notation and getting that piece right, and then just taking your time remembering x is left to right, then range is bottom to top, and domains you only look at the x values, the coordinates, ranges you only look at the y values. All right, I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.